My name is Richard Gladstein, and I'm Executive Director of the Feirstein School, the Feirstein Graduate School of Cinema, which is part of Brooklyn College and part of CUNY. We're located not on the main campus of Brooklyn College, but we're located at the Steiner Studios, which is in the old Navy Yard. So the main campus of Brooklyn College is in Midland, I think it's called, and is a bit out farther in Brooklyn, but we're right on the water just across from Manhattan, and very easy to get to. And Steiner Studios is one of the busiest and most wonderfully outfitted sound stages in the country, and certainly in New York. And many major films shoot here and have production offices in our building. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel has their offices, and City on a Hill, and so we're really part of a film-making community here. And we really value being part of that community. So a little bit about me, and then we're going to get to it. So I'm basically a film producer, not really an academic, and I came to the school because I thought that being a film producer, the skills of being a film producer, are completely applicable to helping to run a school, in that, it's my job to help identify the story that we're going to tell as a school, and then bring the resources, people, money, to the table to create an environment for everyone to do their best work. And we have a fantastic environment here, which I'm now going to show you. So I'm going to welcome our Manager of Resources and Technology, Jay Kim, and we're going to take a tour of the school. And I'm going to tell you all about it. And so in to join us. And if I did everything correctly, Jay will join us in one. Oh, Mr. Jay Kim, hello, sir.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. So we're going to go on a tour of our school. So will you throw the camera around, and let's start walking.
Sure. Let's start from here.
So this is the entranceway, and shows some of our donors. And when you come into the school, this is what you will see. This is the lobby of our school. And as you enter, we have a screen to the left, which just shows various current events. That's a recent Zoom that we had with students. That's an advert for our Magner Center, which helps alumni get jobs. We're going to go down that hallway in a second, but if you look to the right, going up these stairs, which would take you up to the 6th floor, which we're not going to go up yet, but I'm going to show you that this is an area that our students frequent. And our students spend time on these steps, in these seats, looking out over the city, having production meetings, etc. This is a wonderful space. So we're a graduate school, and we offer a Master's of Fine Arts degrees in various disciplines, which we're going to get into in a second. Those disciplines include writing, directing, producing, post-production, digital, animation, and visual effects. And we also have a screen studies program. We also have Masters of Fine Arts degrees in sonic arts and media scoring. So as we go down this hallway, the first thing that we're going to encounter are one of our editing rooms. They're all equipped with Avid. Our students work in here, learn in here, cut their films. And this is your standard editing room, where you're going to be cutting the films that you've made. And we have, I think, 7 of those suites all around. So these doors to the right are classrooms, lecture halls, as we wander in there. One of our larger lecture halls. Most of the classes are under 10 people, but sometimes we have more people together and we use those rooms. And then as we go down the hall, why don't we go into the visual effects classroom. What is this room called, Jay?
Dave Room is called Digital Animation and Visual Effects.
So that's our Dave program,
Yeah.
Digital Animation and Visual Effects, which we call Dave because everything around here, for some reason, has to be an acronym, which is super irritating. Okay, now let's go down the hall towards the music stuff.
Some more editing rooms. This is a post-production. That's the music classrooms.
So as I meant, wait, Jay, let's peek back in there for one more second. Okay?
Sure.
So into the music room. Great. So I mentioned that we have sonic arts and media scoring. So you can see how well equipped this room is. And this is one of our big instructional classrooms. The gear is first rate. Everything is completely wired together digitally. There is no coming in and wiring. Everything is already all hooked up. Right now we are doing about 12 what we call hybrid classes, where they're partially in person and partially online. And we have really more classes that are in person than anywhere else on Brooklyn College, because so much of what we do requires collaboration. So Jay, let's keep going down the hallway and look at some other stuff.
So
This is just one of our big rooms that we use for various things. Let's go down the hall and go towards the music recording and ADR. Oh, students working, oh my goodness, with masks on, thank goodness. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey. So we're going to veer into here, and this is where our music recording takes place, and which is this room to the right. A wonderful studio, a Steinway grand piano, a wonderful board where our students can learn how to record and mix. First-rate, top-notch equipment. Hey, Nick Huffman, good to see you. And then next door is a room that we call the ADR studio. ADR stands for Additional Dialogue Recording. Oh, and there's people working with masks on. Brilliant. We didn't actually stage this. I didn't really know there'd be people in here, honestly. But very glad to see we have people working. In a limited way, in a very safe way. And then down the hall to the left is the Foley Room. This is where you put in footsteps and the sounds of doors knocking and things like that. So this is how you add sound effects to your movie, by going in that room right there, and that wood floor opens up, and there's sand and rocks and various textures that you can add to your movie. So if you have someone walking on the beach, you can hear the sound of someone walking on the beach. So let's wander. Then we have like DaVinci Resolve rooms, which is how you color correct your movie. But let's go upstairs and show them our sound stages and our equipment and stuff like that. Okay, Jay?
Sure.
Okay, you're brilliant. So that was a big loop that put us obviously back into the lobby. And Jay's going to take us upstairs. And should we go into the screening room or should we go?
Yeah, we can go to the screening room first.
Okay. So as you can see, things are taped off. There are arrows. The furniture up here is all stacked up because we don't want people to be hanging around. And normally we're really quite full. And we have this is an area for students to gather and collaborate. The school is all about collaboration. Writers working with directors, working with producers, working with cinematographers, working with editors, working with sound, working with music. The collaboration is only possible by bringing people together in an environment like this. This is our screening room, all 4K, digital, about 80 seats, a really cool room, and a pleasure to be in and watch movies, which I hope we'll be doing soon. Let's go towards the equipment room, yeah?
Sure.
So we're going to try to answer some of your questions as we go along about the different programs. There's about 200 students. Most of the programs are 3 years long. So there's about 70 students in each cohort, about 70 students in each class. Directors are the most because everyone wants to be a director. But there's 10 cinematographers and 10 editors and 20 writers, etc. This is the brilliant view. Wow. So this is also like the vending machine student hangout area, which is obviously closed right now. But we're slowly eking our way open as the COVID situation gets better and better. So we have 4 sound stages. The largest one is 4,000 square feet. We have a construction shop to our right where people can build sets. This is the biggest stage that we have. And there's a lot of productions are made here. Students learn. There are cinematography classes in here. There's directing classes in here. There's a grid up in the ceiling that has lights. First rate, top notch, completely pro. Jay, your signal is getting wonky. So let's head down the hall towards the equipment room. Shortly, we're going to also be joined by the head of producing, who's going to explain a little bit about the production that we make. And then after Jason, we will be joined by Matt Moore, who's the academic program manager, and he's going to tell you about how to apply. So we're going down the hall. There's different sound stages. Let's show the equipment, yeah?
Yep.
So this is the area that Jay runs, which is the checking out of equipment. We have airy cameras, red cameras, generators, light, grip, electric. We have everything that you could possibly need to make any film you could possibly want. You could shoot Joker with the equipment that we have here. A lot of students work at the school. We employ so many of them to work while they're going to school in order to supplement the monies that it costs to go here. We're going to talk about how much that is shortly. This is all of our equipment. In a nutshell, it costs about $20,000 a year to go to this school. It costs $50,000 or $60,000 to go to NYU or Columbia, etc. So it's a bargain. Oh, are we coming to Jay's office or do we pass it?
Passed it.
You guys do not want to see Jay's office. So this is all of our equipment, which Jay and his team check out. When you graduate, you can also borrow equipment. Most of the films shoot on the weekends while you're in school. It's a full-time program for the most part. But again, we encourage our students to be working, and a lot of them work at the school. So I think, Jay, did we do everything?
Yeah, and maybe you want to go to mocap and green room, or you don't want to show them?
Nah. We can. Why don't you want to go to mocap?
Sure.
Or one of the other stages? Sure. Our facility is 68,000 square feet. We have 7 editing rooms, 4 sound stages, 4 DaVinci Resolve suites. We have mixing rooms, we have wardrobe dressing, we have green rooms, we have a construction shop, we have an 80-seat theater. Those are just some of our facilities. So here we're on another soundstage, a lonely dolly waiting for one of you to come and shoot with. Great, so this is one of our other sound stages. And let's wander into mocap, right? So this room was created to do motion capture because we have visual effects program, but we're going to probably, this is going to probably evolve into something else. But it's one of the most special rooms at the school. Not because of the wonderful truss grid that you see, but the view from here is about as good as it gets anywhere in New York. That's Steiner Studios. Go back, we go to the right a little bit. So this is Steiner Studios. They have like thousands and thousands of square feet. You can see how full that parking lot is. It's because there's probably 10 or 12 productions going on there right now. I produced a movie years ago that shot here called The Nanny Diaries. Joker shot here. Lin-Manuel Miranda just finished shooting his new movie here. That's produced by one of our advisors, Celia Costas, which we're going to be screening for the students when it's done. And hopefully we'll have Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I can't guarantee that yet. But I asked. So that's basically our school. And what I'd like to do, I think, is say thank you to Jay for giving us such an awesome tour. And really appreciate it, Jay, who's one of our key members of our team. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to say thank you and see you later. And we're going to bring in Jason Clea. So Jay's going to sign out. And I'm hoping I know how to let Jason hear. How do I let Jason hear? The school opened 5 years ago. I've been director of the school for 6 months. So how do I let Jason in? So will you text him or something to ask him to join us? Yep. So I'm going to try to find Jason so that he can join us. I'm not sure what to do. Jason, if you can hear me, request that you join us. Let's see. It says unable to join. Can you text Jason and ask him to send me a note that can ask to be invited into the room, please? So just hang on just 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of technology issues. And I'm going to try to get Jason into this chat for us to talk, but I'm not quite seeing how to do that is the problem. Oh, I think he's going to be here in a second. Something tells me we might have just hit the right button. I cannot guarantee it.
Hey.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Jason Clea.
I did everything right. I don't know why the lag was there.
I did everything wrong.
I don't usually do everything right. I usually do a lot wrong. But.
Today's a special day. It's usual for me because I did everything wrong. So I would like to introduce to all of you Jason Clea. Jason is a fantastic producer who's produced movies like the Enroll documentary and Capernaum and Coffee and Cigarettes and lots of other movies. And he's a wonderful producer, and he is in charge of our producing program at Feirstein.
Hi, everyone.
So tell us first a little bit about the producing program and why you want to run it and why it's so fantastic.
Well, I never intended to run any program at a film school, but I taught a class at Feirstein, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with its diversity. I fell in love with its mission. I fell in love with its students, and then I was offered to become the head of the producing program. And I'm still a working producer. I'm always working on a production, but I found a way to try to juggle my life so I could do this because I believed in the school so much. The producing program is a 2-year program, and it basically, the goal of the producing program is to have producers come into a school and within 2 years know creative producing, how to develop, how to work with writers and directors, how to creatively put together a project, and also at the same time, how to actually hands-on produce a movie. So that when you leave here, you can get a job in the industry creatively, or you can actually go out and make your first feature, or you can get a job as a line producer, as a production manager, as an AD, as whatever you need to do to get your career going. So we juggle those two things. We juggle the very practical, hands-on, you have that knowledge and you can take that out into the world, and the creative, where you've learned how to work with people and creatively interact with all the artists who work on a film.
When a student comes into the producing program, how many films will they work on over the time that they're at the school? And how many films will they produce?
Well, they will absolutely have worked on 4 or 5 films. I'd say that most producers end up working on a dozen or so films by the time they've left here.
And in and that's true of all of the disciplines, for the cinematographers, for the writers, for the editors, etc., are each going to work as the department head, i.e. the editor, and then on other movies they'll work as an assistant editor, etc. So explain how the collaboration works.
Well, the wonderful thing about the school is that it's a track school. So every track is set up so that when you leave this school, you can get a job in the track that you've actually been following. So you have the DPs, you have the editors, you have the sonic arts, you have the producers, you have the writers, you have all the different tracks are commingling and working together on all these projects. And the idea is that everyone who comes out of the school is not only able to get a job in the industry, but they're also able to creatively participate with other people because they will understand and will have worked with all the other tracks in the school.
Is it a full-time program or part-time?
It's a full-time program, but I have to say that many of our students have jobs outside of the school because they have to. And it can be hard, but they do it. We actually had a producer 2 years ago who got a job downstairs at Miss Maisel, and she had a full-time job at Maisel, and they were really kind to her because they would let her run upstairs and take classes and take time off and work on weekends so she could produce projects as well. And she met those people in the elevator.
And tell us also, so another student that I know is working at the same time is one of the producers who's in the second year, and he works on a television show now, correct? Yeah,
he's actually one of the chief COVID safety officers at Saturday Night Live while he's producing at the school right now. He's a registered nurse and took COVID safety classes early on, and now he's got an amazing gig there.
Excellent. And when we say that you're going to make, producers will make 4 movies, directors will direct 4 movies at least.
5, yeah. That's the minimum. I mean, people who want to ramp it up, they do. And, you know, I think there's people who've probably worked on 50 or 20 movies during their time at the school.
And the reason why we do that is, for us, production is curriculum. It's not a side activity. it is the activity.
Absolutely.
And that's something that sets our school apart. That's why we have so many sound stages. It's not for fun. It's because we have to learn how to light, how to block actors, etc., how to shoot so that then you can go out and actually make your movie. And we don't as faculty and staff supervise your movie. We give you the tools, we teach you, and then we set you free.
Yeah. Oh, we support you, though.
Right?
We support you. We support
right.
you.
But I think, one of the things that I found interesting was that a student told me recently was that they felt, I can't remember how they put it exactly, but it was something like, you're teaching me the fundamentals, but you're also teaching me to become the director I should become, not the director you want me to become. Can you talk to that a little bit in terms of, because we're an art school. Can you talk a little to that issue?
Yeah, I mean, we have such a variety of people. We have people who love comedy. We have people who are into supernatural thrillers. We have people who are into neorealist, authentic stories made on a small scale. And we absolutely don't push anyone in any direction. I mean, if you look at the films that have come out of here, you will see everything from sci-fi spectaculars that have been done on an incredibly low budget. Because don't forget, we have access to students who are learning how to do special effects. We have students who, I'd say within the first year, the cinematographers are as competent as many professional cinematographers. And not only are they competent, but they've actually been working with the same equipment that Hollywood studios use. So everyone has access to this extraordinary, these facilities, and then they bring all of that to the productions. So if your ambition is to do something, like a special effects movie, you actually have those tools in the school. And what I love about the school is that, Richard just sort of said it, if you wanted to, you could never leave our school and leave the school with a professional, shoot it, prepare it, edit it, post it, color correct it, do everything at school, and you could leave with a digital print of a feature film, or if you wanted to, not that we're encouraging feature films, but I mean, if I was left alone in that building, I could leave with an actual feature film. That's how sophisticated what we have is.
But let's clarify though, when we say people are making 4 or 5 or 10 movies, our movies are usually what length are they usually?
Well, the first movies are about 5 minutes, and then they kind of grow. They go to about under 10, a couple are under 10. The thesis films can be up to 20 minutes long. So, or you can do a pilot for a TV series, and that can be up to 25 minutes long.
And what happens when these films are finished and the credits are put on and it says produced by so-and-so and directed by so-and-so, our students, obviously? What happens with those movies?
Well, they go to film festivals first. We've had films at the New York Film Festival. We've even had student exercises at the New York Film Festival. We've had movies at Rotterdam, at Berlin, at Tribeca, I think, at all festivals all over the world. And they're showcases for them. They're showcases that show the industry what they're capable of doing. So they can actually show those films to potential employers to show them what they're capable of achieving. And we even had a student we've had 2 students 2 years in a row win the IFP Focus Features JetBlue Award, which gives them $10,000 for distribution of their film, guarantees distribution on Focus Features digital site, and your movie's showing on JetBlue if you're flying on JetBlue, which is pretty cool for the parents and friends of students to be able to push that button and watch.
Did you go to film school, Jason?
I didn't go to film school. I took Sight and Sound at NYU, a summer program when I was 17. And I just started working in film during college and after college, and basically taught myself how to produce. But I wouldn't try that at home. I was very lucky. And I worked way too hard.
You are a New Yorker, and you're very familiar with the programs of Columbia and NYU, which are excellent programs.
Yeah, I've taught it both.
Top rate. what do you think distinguishes Feirstein from NYU and Columbia? Like if anyone applying to these schools is going, gee, should I go to NYU? Should I go to Columbia? Should I go to Feirstein? Why should someone come to Feirstein?
Look, NYU and Columbia are amazing programs. I've taught at both. I've also taught at Stern, NYU. And I love those schools and I love the people at those schools. But it's hard, you know, it's really hard to pay $65,000, $68,000 a year. I'm not sure I have the numbers right, but around that. And for a 3-year program, and house yourself near those schools, and to actually live in Manhattan. And unfortunately, I'm just hearing a weird sound. Sorry. Do you hear that?
My phone
Oh,
was
that's your
ringing.
phone vibrating.
It was my son calling.
But also, so you're, you know, racking up a lot of debt, obviously, unless you're lucky enough to get a scholarship of some kind at those schools. But you're in a very different environment here. I mean, this is a state school. This is a CUNY school. This is a school that is, you know, it attracts people who never believed they could ever go to film school before. And that leads to a very different variety of voices. And it leads also to what I would say is a pretty amazing camaraderie, you know, coming together of the students that I've never seen in another film school. And I'm sure that exists at all film schools in a wonderful way. But there's something about Feirstein where it kind of feels like it's all of us against the world, you know, where we've had, you know, I've taught so many people who said, my dream was to become a filmmaker and I could never afford it. I never even imagined there was a place that would make me feel comfortable for being there because of its diversity and its focus.
And will you tell us a little bit about the kinds of filmmakers, the advisory council filmmakers, and the filmmakers that we bring to the school to interact with the students?
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing about the school is that we have many adjunct professors, and all our professors work in the industry. We're not people who've been teaching for 40 years. We're people who are still working on movies and don't stop. So the connections to the industry are terrific. And we, on our board, we have Steven Soderbergh, we have Ethan Hawke, we have Darren Aronofsky, we have, you know, you say the other ones that I may not be bringing up.
We have Stephen Daldry, we have Vicky Thomas, we have Ann Del Castillo from the mayor's office, we have Doug Steiner, who runs Steiner Studios. We have Rachel Morrison, the first woman ever nominated for a Cinematography Academy Award. We have Marise Alberti, who's been nominated for Academy Awards as a cinematographer. So we have Randy Poster, who's probably the top music supervisor in the country. He works on all of Scorsese's movies. He works on all of Wes Anderson's movies. We have Vicky Thomas, casting director. She's the casting director of all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, all of Ed Zwick's movies.
Celia Costas.
We have Celia Costas, who just did the Lin-Manuel Miranda movie. So these are all people who want to spend time nurturing our students, and we give them a role to play by mentoring a thesis film, which is in a nutshell, the larger film that you make at the end of your 2 or 3 years here. You'll make this more important, more significant film that we even give you a little money to make. And we're going to give you one of these advisors to advise you as you go along. And that's our commitment to our students.
And we should talk a little bit about what you're getting. I mean, I would say that when you're making your thesis production, now, of course, it depends how much equipment you need for your movie. But if you need sort of all the bells and whistles, we've estimated that you're probably getting, without the additional money that we give you to make your thesis, that you are getting about $75,000 to $100,000 worth of equipment and editorial and everything through post, just for that one project. Forget all the others.
Rooms, that means the editing rooms, possibly the soundstage, the camera, the generator, the grip, the electric. And we give cash, because some things we don't have that you have to buy, like lunch or a location.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Jason, what else what would you like to leave our future students with? Any thoughts?
Really, my love for this place. I mean, I've never felt anything like it. It's really hard to, look, we're doing Instagram Live. It's COVID. If you came to the place and you saw the students in the space, which hopefully in the fall we'll be able to do, you would just feel this buzzing activity, people who have met their posse and are working together with them, and this incredible diversity. As I was saying before, you got people who literally, until they saw the subway ad for this school, they'd always thought about going to film school, and they never could, and now they can, and you can. So that's what I'd.
So it sounds like it's all about opportunity, because that's what we're a forum in which to find yourself as a filmmaker, develop the tools necessary to have a career.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Jason, thank you, sire, for leading us.
Thank you so much.
Will you sign off, and we'll bring in another guest. Thank you, man. So what we want to do is bring in our friend Matt Moore now. And Matt is the academic program manager, and Matt's going to explain some of the logistics and some of the application stuff and some of the formalities that you'd have to go through to come to school here. And one of the things I'd like to mention as we're waiting for him is that if you attended this session, you will be able to get a waiver on your application fee, and you don't have to pay an application fee because you hung out with us today. And so you register at bit.ly/FeirsteinReg. So bit.ly/Feirstein, FEIRSTEINREG. And I'm going to bring in our lovely friend, oops, oh, here he is. I'm going to bring in Mr. Matt Moore, I think. I hope. Ooh. He was here a second ago. I saw his. Who's that? That's not him. So Matt, if you can send me another note to ask me to invite you in, I would love that, so that I can invite you into join us. So can you text Matt and ask him to ask to come in again? And as soon as I get that, I will have him join us. If you already applied and paid before this session, we can't reimburse you because it's too difficult for us to do all that. So if you already paid, thank you for paying. If you haven't, you'll get a waiver. And that's as good as we could do. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, everybody. We're having a little bit of technical, but I think, oh, my goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matthew Moore, Academic Program Manager since the beginning of school. Hello, Matt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Instagram Live.
Yay. So tell us, is this, something tells me this is a perfect time to be applying to our school?
Yes, we're in the thick of admissions for fall 2021. We are reading applications and doing interviews, and we're getting ready to make our first batch of admissions offers. But Feirstein, unlike a lot of schools, operates under a rolling deadline, so it's still very much possible to apply for all of our programs, because we haven't offered any spaces to anyone yet. We're soon going to do so, but for Feirstein, the admissions process is maybe a bit more drawn out than some other schools. So I think it gives people ample opportunity to pull together all their application materials and give it a shot.
And explain, if you will, that we have our different programs: cinema arts, the music, screen studies, etc. So when someone wants to apply to the school, do they apply to the school? Do they apply to the program? How does that work?
So everyone at CUNY fills out a general application where you provide your vitals, as it were, and then you have to designate which program you're interested in. As Richard mentioned, we have the MFA Cinema Arts program, and that is our track-based filmmaking program, and you'll designate the specific track or specialization that you want to apply to.
Okay, let's stop right there 1 second. So cinema arts has 6 tracks: writing, producing, directing, post-production, digital animation and visual effects, and cinematography.
Yes.
Okay. So those are individual tracks within one degree program. That degree program is an MFA, Master of Fine Arts, in Cinema Arts. But you designate, I'm a director, I'm a producer, I want to focus on post-production. And that's, so you generally kind of know what direction you want to go in, so that you're applying to that specific track within that degree program. Then there are other degree programs that you can apply to.
Yeah, that's correct. There is an MFA in media scoring, an MFA in sonic arts. Both of those programs are offered through the Conservatory of Music at Brooklyn College, but they effectively meet, most of their classes meet in our facility at 25 Washington Avenue. And then there is also an MA in screen studies. Media scoring, sonic arts, and screen studies admit people both in the fall and the spring. So if you're interested in those programs, you're not sure you want to start in the fall, you can apply for spring 2022.
So right now, I mean, one of the reasons why we currently don't offer people to come in the spring, in the middle of the year, with the cinema arts programs, writing, producing, directing, etc., is that those cohorts, those years are intermingling in a certain way that if we brought in a whole new group of students in the middle of the year, it would be disruptive to the process of collaboration. Whereas the students in the sonic arts and media scoring, we can stagger them in a different way because it's less reliant on collaboration than it is making a movie. Making music is a little more singular, if you will. What's the difference between sonic arts and media scoring?
I mean, media scoring is really focused on, composing for film, television, and other media. And sonic arts is a much broader program. The director of the program, Professor Doug Gears, sometimes refers to it as a choose your own adventure program, or sort of a la carte. And it's kind of geared to enable students to focus on a very specific kind of niche that they're interested in. And, the range of applicants that program gets are very broad in terms of, their background. And some of those students do have an interest in working in film and television in some capacity. Others don't. Classes in sonic arts meet both at Feirstein and on our main campus.
Excellent. So The main website of our school is Feirstein. Again, that's Feirstein.
Yes.
.brooklyn.cuny.edu. And if you go onto that website and click the apply now or application or whatever that tab is, you'll see the application, how to do it, when to do it, all of the necessary ingredients that you need to be able to apply. And this is, over the next 2 months, 3 months, is peak admissions time for us. So no one is late. You're right on time. So if you're interested, that's why we're showing you the school now. We're showing you the schools. Normally we'd bring you in and you'd walk around and we'd show you everything and there'd be students all over the place. There isn't because of the pandemic. So we're doing the best we can to show you this is our school, and this is the place, as best we can show it. So I think it would be awesome if we took questions from folks. So how do I know what questions people are asking? They're scrolling on. So how do I see questions and things that people might be asking? Ask your what? Ask your questions, please, in the chat.
I see the first one is how much does each semester cost? So the tuition depends on whether you are a New York State resident or not a New York State resident. Per semester, if you're a New York State resident, the MFA Cinema Arts program is about $11,000 a semester. If you're not a New York State resident, you're an international student, it's a little over $15,000 a semester. If you are applying for the MA program, it's significantly cheaper. It's the base CUNY tuition, graduate tuition. If you're applying for Sonic Arts or Media Scoring, because those programs can be pursued part-time or full-time, the tuition just depends on how many credits you're taking. If you go to our website, the Feirstein website, and click on admissions, there's a button for tuition and fees, and you can see the breakdown, which gets pretty granular. It also lists all the fees and that kind of information. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at that to get a very specific number.
So in essence, if you're going to one of the cinema arts, writing, producing, directing, cinematography, editing, digital animation, and visual effects, it ends up being about $20,000 a year.
Yes.
And yes, Luca asked if there are scholarships. There are. They're not plentiful at the moment, but we're building up a war chest. And so, yes, scholarships are available. Loans are, of course, available. We're also augmenting people's tuition by offering financial aid ourselves. We were also asked in one of the questions about, are electives interdisciplinary or specific to specializations? That's what Cassie Grimaldi asked. Matt, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, so as we've grown and sort of developed our curriculum, we've added more electives to each track and program. So as Richard alluded to earlier, our MFA Cinema Arts program in particular has a very structured, prescribed curriculum. So in any given semester, you kind of know the courses you're taking. But for each track, some semesters include an elective course or multiple elective courses. And we do it definitely encourage cross-pollination. Most students who come into Feirstein are, dying to take courses, and they're very interested in their specialization, but they're also interested in other aspects of film, and that's only a good thing. Learning about the other departments is important. It's sort of like learning to speak another language. So in a given semester, we'll offer a range of elective courses that are specifically elective courses. Like this semester, we're doing directing the commercial. We're doing a spec writing class. We're doing an extra cinematography class for students who aren't specifically studying cinematography. And then in addition to that, the normal courses that we're offering for each different track or specialization can be taken as electives. There are certain stipulations and guidelines, but we tend to be pretty flexible and encouraging for students who want to learn a bit about, some of the other aspects of filmmaking that are not their track or area.
I think one of the things that we stress also is that to learn one craft enhances the craft that you're studying. So to learn an additional craft. So for example, if you're a director, you should be taking classes that teach you how to write, whether you want to be a writer or not. That exercise of writing a screenplay will help you be a better director. If you're a director, you should be taking acting classes here. How to work as an actor. Why? Because you're going to be directing actors and you need to know what an actor's process is. If you're a screenwriter, you want to learn about directing because showrunners on television shows often direct. And so by understanding all of the crafts will just make you a better filmmaker. So there is interdisciplinary work for sure. If you're producing, you're not going to only sit in producing classes. You're going to learn about development, about writing, about cinematography, because that will make you a more well-rounded filmmaker. So how long is the animation and visual arts program, and what perquisites are required to enroll?
So digital animation and visual effects, the acronym for which is DAVE, is a 3-year program. It's a 3-year full-time program, but your third year you're taking fewer classes. So you're not in the first 2 years. It's really 4 classes a semester. In the third year, it's fewer than that.
Great. So Garrick's Wheeler asked about collaborations between different departments. Are they frequent or do they just happen in specific classes? So the answer to that is actually they happen in both. Okay, so basically when our films are made, right, the 4 or 5 films for sure that you're going to be making, let alone the additional ones that you're going to want to do, all those films need a producer. They need a writer. They need a director. They need a cinematographer. They need an editor. In order to fulfill the requirements of that class, we need all of those positions to be filled. So we force collaboration between the different departments to make their films. So collaborations is not a matter of, well, I wonder if you'll get to collaborate if you're a director with a cinematographer. You will be forced to collaborate with a cinematographer if you're a director. And if you're a producer, you will be forced to collaborate with the director and the writer and the cinematographer and the editor, because that's part of your job. And that's why you come to film school, is to collaborate with other filmmakers in other areas. Or else the notion of sort of sitting at home and go out with your camera and be the writer, the producer, the director, the editor, do everything by yourself. You could do that, but it's not a great idea. Matt, would you say that's about right?
I mean, I'd say, to your last point, when we interview applicants for our programs, that's the most commonly cited reason for attending film school is, while we get applicants with all kinds of backgrounds and levels of experience, some people have done some filmmaking, a number of people have not. But, the one thing that's most often cited is that, people want to come and be part of a community and find their what I like to say, their creative kindred spirits. And our program is designed to foster and facilitate that. And, because filmmaking is the ultimate collaborative medium, and we really are a tight-knit community at Feirstein.
Tom Rector asked, if one does not get into Feirstein, what would you recommend for a successful future application?
It's a little tough to answer that in a general way. I would just say, we're really most interested in applicants' creative voice and finding, original and interesting voices, interesting storytellers. Whether if people who apply to directing who've never directed a film and don't have a short film to submit have the option of writing a treatment, a 10-page treatment for a feature film or a pilot that they would like to direct. And that gives you an opportunity to showcase, your ideas and your kind of capacity, for storytelling. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Certainly, the statement of purpose or personal statement is an important element in your application, because it gives your application readers a kind of an idea of where you're coming from, what your journey has been. How did you get to this point where you decided to apply to film school? So I would urge people to really think about, what they want to say. Starting your statement of purpose with, I've been watching movies since I was 3 years old when my mom and dad plopped me in front of the television. Not the greatest way to start, but just, keep in mind or think about like how you can kind of like bear your creative soul and just let us in, give us an idea of where you're coming from and who you are and what you want to get out of film school.
It's such a good point, because I remember when I was even applying for the job to work here, and one of the students said, like, why do you work in the film business? Why are you a film producer? What is it about it that turns you on? And for me, I like the theme in film. So when I was growing up, I watched To Kill a Mockingbird, right? And I learned how a father tells stories to his children, and how you have to learn how to walk in someone else's shoes and have empathy for them. And those themes struck a chord in me, and I ended up making a movie called The Cider House Rules, which is similar in a way of where you belong in the world and whose rules are you going to follow. So I think the theme in films and what turns you on about storytelling is a great area to focus on your applications. Is like why you want to be a storyteller. Because whether you're an editor, a cinematographer, a director, a writer, a visual effects supervisor, you're a storyteller. And what we're trying to create here are storytellers. That's the mission. So if you want to become a storyteller, this is a good place to learn how to mine your stories, how to mine your experience, how to mine the world for stories to tell. And I think so that's what I think we're looking for in people's applications, or why do you want to tell that story? Like what, and if it's, I love scary movies and I like freaking people out and I want to do it in really cool ways, that's good. That's great, that you suspense, that you're all into like creating. I want to learn the tools of how to create a suspenseful film, because that turns me on when I watch movies and I think about that. That's great. What else should we tell people, Matt?
I guess I would just invite, anyone who's interested and would like more information to reach out to us. One way to do that is to email Feirstein at brooklyn.cuny.edu. That's our main website, and I check that almost daily when we're in the middle.
Do that again. Do that again.
Sure. It's Feirstein, the school's name, at brooklyn.cuny.edu. Or you can email me directly, and I will. I'll type my my email address in the comments when I'm done here.
So like the one of the reasons why we stress writing so much, and even though we're called the School of Cinema, is that some of the best jobs that people can get right now are being staff writers on a television show. And I see that, I can't say the name, Joa Squeenie asked about a writer's room and becoming a staff writer. And though we're considered a school of cinema, it's film, it's TV, it's media, it's all the same thing. It's all storytelling. And that's what we're teaching, is how to be a storyteller in media, be it music, film, TV, digital, 35 millimeter, 16 millimeter, on your phone with the 70 millimeter camera. It's all the same thing. It's just different tools that equip you to tell your story. I think we're at 6 o'clock. So there are some more questions. Excuse me? You can email questions, like Matt just said, to all of his stuff. If there's let me see if we can find another question to answer. Yes, there's lots of internships that we hook you up with. And we encourage you to go out on your own, and people love hiring graduate students to be interns because they know they're serious about becoming film professionals. Someone asked about if you have a background as an actor. Actors make great directors. Why? I think it's fairly obvious that they understand performance and they understand emotions. And so very often, Ron Howard's a pretty good director, and George Clooney's a pretty good director. And Regina King just made a really cool movie. And so lots of actors become directors, and they're really quite successful. If you have an acting background and you want to become a filmmaker, I think that's brilliant. The screenwriting track, is the screenwriting track more focused on writing features, short film, or TV pilots?
All of the above. You do all of those. You write multiple features. You have a class where you work on writing a pilot. You do, in your first year, take a course where you're going to write multiple shorts, and in this second semester, that may or may not be selected by a director for their second semester film. In your third year, you do a course called the Writer's Room, where you're basically the lead writer on your own project, and everybody else are your staff, and then you're a staff writer on someone else's project. And then we select 3 of those. They're basically web series pilots, and so your final semester we select 3 or 4 projects to go into production. So if you're the writer for that project, you become the showrunner. So those are some examples of what writers produce while they're in our program.
And that concept of you're changing positions within the discipline is what it's all about. So cinematographers, one week they're going to be the cinematographer of their short film, and the next week they're going to be the assistant cameraman or woman on another film, and the next film they're going to do craft services and get people food. And so basically you rotate positions around, you crew for each other, and this keeps you humble. And it allows you to understand all of the different facets of a set. So if one day you're the director, the next day you're the getting food caterer. And all of this creates well-rounded, brilliant filmmakers, I think. When I first started, my job was giving dog biscuits to barking dogs to make them stop barking so that we didn't hear them in the film. And I don't know if that helped me in my life, but it got me on a set. It got me seeing all the different jobs. And soon I wasn't giving dogs biscuits anymore. And eventually I started producing movies. And then I came here to hang out with Matt. Okay. Matt, any words of wisdom you would like to leave us with?
I would just encourage everyone who's taken the time to join us today to seriously consider applying to our program. You have nothing to lose, and especially because now you don't have to pay an application fee. And really, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. It's a really busy time for all of us right now, but we will get back to you. I'm also willing to connect you with current students or former students, because the best way to learn about our program is really to ask the people who are in the program currently or have been in the program. Don't just take our word for it.
But we're honest, so you can take our word for it, but they're better at telling you about the school than we are, for sure. The students and the faculty will give you a different perspective than I can give you and Matt can give you. Though Jason and Jay gave, I think, good perspective of staff, getting other students' perspective is really important, and we're happy to hook you up with them. And I'd also just urge all of you guys to follow our Instagram account, which is at Feirstein School. Again, it's Feirstein School. And we're on Brooklyn 411 right now, because we're in the Quniverse, as they say. But if you follow at Feirstein School on Instagram, you'll see lots of stuff that we're doing, the kinds of people that we're bringing in here, awards that our students are making, and it'll give you a sense of some of the goings on here that I think are important to, as you get a feel for this place and as you measure whether or not you'd like to come here. You'll just see various events that we're having. So I'm going to say thank you to Mr. Matt Moore for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. And I just want to say thank you for everyone on behalf of all of us at the Feirstein School in Brooklyn, at Steiner Studios, that we're really, I hope you can tell that we are really fond of this place. And we think we're doing a real service for the students. And that gives us a great feeling of pride to help people find their voices as filmmakers. And we take it really seriously, but we also have a lot of fun. And so we urge you to come check us out, and we hope to see you soon. So thank you all very much for joining us.